Gomers. Good evening. This is called Walking Across a Frozen Lake. I was halfway across before I thought better of it. A little more than halfway, I guess. Forward made more sense. I turned and looked at tracks in snow, my wasted time. Not wasted exactly. I could have driven around, but you can't drive and feel like Jesus, alone and walking on water. Jesus with cold feet. I stood in an inch of water on a foot of ice, half a mile from either shore, and only my feet were cold. To one side, fault lines, little mountain ranges surging up between tectonic plates of ice with groans like when you think she might have loved you once. They call it lake thunder. To the other side, ahead a ways, open water. People put orange cones around it to ward off idiots like me. Ducks floated in it. What bliss to be cold-blooded. Despite the water, forward made more sense. The way back was proven, known, sure not to open and swallow me up, but longer and colder. The way ahead was clean and white, inviting, enticing. Could the crisp, calm snow gently hide a frigid, watery grave? Probably not, but you never know. I stood in an inch of water half a mile from anything. In summer, the water is blue because it reflects the sky. Now both were white. Other way around, perhaps. It's just something you notice. My breath. I saw my breath. I turned and looked at wasted time. My feet were cold. Forward made more sense, even on thin ice. Thank you. I don't really often write poems about my kids because if you have kids, like words are never quite adequate. And I just think it's presumptuous to assume that you guys would care about my kids. But here's one about my daughter, Madeline. Hi, Madeline. I'll warn you, there is just a hint of sadness in the middle of this. This is from long, long ago when Maddie was about 4. She's almost 10 now. It's called Olaimo, the Magic Word. When she first was learning how to draw letters and didn't know how to spell anything, she just wrote O-L-I-M-O on everything. And so what is that? And she said, that's my magic word. Funny, Daddy, you show me in sign every day, 2 fingers swatting at your nose that looks like mine. You told me yourself you can't tell your wishes. You have to keep them close to your heart, else they won't come true. That's what you said. Dreams are the same way, especially the bad ones. Those you have to tell. A monster ate your flowers, and you called it a nightmare. And you wished on the first star that I could come live with you again. I'm glad you told me that one. Even close to your heart, it's a seed on fallow ground. A bird in a pretty cage. A magic word, your magic words. They're just flowers, and it was just okay. Thank you. And if you have more than one kid, you know that you can't do one without the other. So here's a poem for Karen. This is a world premiere. No one knows this. No one's ever seen this poem except my wife, Stephanie. It doesn't really have a title yet, but I think I'm going to call it The Baptism of Boyhood. Christmas Eve was also a Wednesday, so I spent the first 2 hours of it delivering news of tough economic times and the basketball game that didn't go our way to people snug in their beds, visions of sugar plums still a day away. The snow started about 5:30, humble and slow, settling where it needed to be. I'm the paper man. Not the paper boy, the bite in my shoulder tells me so, the old and growing older paper man. Still, I'm the only one who knows, so on Wednesday, Christmas Eve, I caught snowflakes on my tongue. It isn't that he doesn't believe in Santa. My boy, he's 10, and stuck his tongue to a flagpole not too long ago. I haven't seen him catching snowflakes, but I would bet that he has. It isn't that he doesn't believe in Santa, he just knows it's your parents. As if I wasn't cool enough already. After all, I'm the guy who makes his runny eggs, the guy who taught him soccer, the guy who knows the governor, and now I'm also the guy who bought his stereo last year. I still believe in Santa Claus, he said on Wednesday, Christmas Eve, after everyone had their paper and I was home and the house was warm. That's good, I said. He's coming tonight. He smiled sideways, like he does, and ran outside to play. I don't know what he did, I hope. He threw his arms apart like wings and opened wide to melt in his mouth the cold, white baptism of boy. I'll just have one more, but credit where credit is due. If you're enjoying yourself tonight, you should thank my wife. This whole thing was kind of her idea. So, I learned some years ago that when famous people get really old, the newspaper writers write their obituary just so they have it ready. And I thought, since I'm going to be famous someday, I should have one ready. So I wrote my own. So this is a poem called Advanced Obit. He bit into life like an orange, juice dripping down his chin. He savored the last drop, but now it's gone. He is preceded in death by the Roman Empire, country music, and family hardware stores. He loved powerfully and sang loudly out of tune. He is survived by a wife, several children of various colors, by Shakespeare, drums, and the Sea of Tranquility. Friends may call from 8 to 10. In lieu of flowers, please shout a poem from memory or not. Thank you very much.